do you live on the water?
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah, I live on my boat here.
Very cool.
I can't fucking afford a house. I didn't want. Was tired of renting, so I just bought a boat.
Well, I mean that's super cool though, because I mean, how many times in your life are you gonna get to say, I lived on a houseboat for X amount of time? So
hopefully only one.
Yeah. Okay, so this is what I was thinking we were gonna do. Okay, so I do have a lot of good stuff already in the first part, and I don't want you to have to repeat it because then I feel like it's gonna come off a little bit.
Well, no.
Yeah.
What's this topic of the video?
The topic of the video is just you after YouTube, pretty much. It's
So, did we start off with like what happened? Where'd you go? You disappeared.
I don't think we started off that way, but we definitely went into that a little bit. And then so I do have this question: is there anything you don't want to talk about?
No, I don't think so.
No? Okay, because okay. Awesome.
Yeah, my hair is. I haven't cut my hair since Christmas.
Yeah.
I was supposed to get cut in the first of the year, and then I missed it, and I went to Panama for a month, and it's just looked like a hippie.
A lot of people liked it though, because I put you on my Instagram story, sort of promoting this thing on Saturday, and a lot of people liked your hair. I got a lot of comments about that. So I guess it works for me.
Which is how I found out you were famous. I had two different people were like, what? And I don't talk to anybody. I have fucking 6 friends,
Hey,
and
I do
2
too.
of them were okay. So anyway, all right, give me 15, 10 minutes.
No problem. All right, take your time.
Sure. All right.
Bye.
See ya.
So, this is Randy Phillips. See, now I feel fucking awkward. Oh, shit, I have no idea where I started the other day. Okay, we'll start with your upbringing. So, you grew up in Alabama. What town in Alabama did you grow up in?
I grew up in a tiny town called Eclectic,
Okay.
less than 1,000 people.
With your southern upbringing, was your family religious?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay. So, did any of that sort of play into you being able to accept yourself as a gay man growing up? And did you feel you needed to assimilate, or did you naturally assimilate to just the whole culture around you?
I feel like growing up in Alabama, everybody is the exact same in every way. Everybody has an F-150 or a Silverado, and everybody listens to the same music. Everybody dresses the exact same way. Everybody just acts the same, and nobody acts out. And the 5 kids that go to high school with you that listen to different music are thought of to be so strange. So yeah.
And so when do you remember first getting little inklings to yourself that you were gay, that you were attracted to guys, and then when in approximation to that did you finally just accept it and say, this is not something that's going to change, this is something I have to learn to adapt to?
I mean, looking back, I probably knew when I was as young as I can remember, because I always remember thinking wow, that guy's I want to look like that, or I would just flip through, what I would really do. I'd go to the underwear section at Walmart, and you would get excited. And I'm talking about at 7, 8, and you would want to make sure that your mom didn't see you just hanging out or taking too long. And so it's looking back, I've probably always known. I didn't have any role models for what gay really was. If you ask my mom, even the day I came out, or the day before that, what name somebody that's gay, she'd say Elton John or Richard Simmons, and probably nobody else would come to mind. Yeah. And I definitely didn't know anybody. I graduated high school without knowing a guy that was openly gay.
And so did you, so you said that at 7 you'd be, looking at these guys and you'd want to look like them. And did you ever confuse seeing a really good looking guy and saying that is what I want to look like, as opposed to, oh no, that's actually what I'm attracted to. Did you ever get that confused in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it was hard to separate that because you would never let yourself stare.
Yeah.
You know, like you would. I mean, you would see a guy. You would see a guy on the football field, and you would stare for a half second. That was it. Like you wouldn't. And this, I didn't have a smartphone. We didn't have internet. Like, I mean, I'm talking about like 2008. Like, if I wanted, like, there was no. Yeah, I could go to school and use the internet, but we grew up on the sticks. Like, we didn't even have internet at the house. Like, how am I gonna find out about any of this stuff? Yeah, exactly. So yeah, of course, hard to separate the two.
Did you ever have any gay experiences, like in high school or any time before you went out on your own?
Very little. Yeah, I did, and it was with a guy that now I'm not sure if he's even accepted himself now, or maybe for him it really was like just experimenting and seeing, not unlike maybe me experimenting with a girl and before saying like nah. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I did. It was hard to pursue. I stayed really busy. Like I worked a lot, and one was that I grew up pretty poor, and so it's like my dad always instilled in me just work as much as you can, but it also just gave me an excuse, like, oh, why'd you miss prom? Like, I had to work. Why didn't you go to homecoming? Or it's like I was working. So you could really get out of a lot of social stuff by just saying that you're busy, which is an excuse that people give now all the time. Like, oh, why are you doing this? I'm so busy. Like, that's the most BS excuse.
Yeah, and so the guy that you speak of, who you experimented with, did you guys ever talk about maybe like each other being gay, or like I don't know, did you ever have serious conversations outside of just the experimentation? Or did you just experiment?
Like when I was in high school, no. It was like you wouldn't even acknowledge it. It's like and so, you're just like, now everything's going to be super awkward at school and everything. But no.
You joined the Air Force. How old were you when you joined the Air Force?
I was 18.
18, okay. So did you join the Air Force to specifically escape that life, or like to get out of Alabama, or did you, like, why'd you join the Air Force, basically?
No, I don't think I was really running away from anything. It was... if you remember 2008, it was like a boom. Like the economy was on fire. Like when I graduated high school, it's like, oh, you could get a job. You could start a, construction contracting company and make $100,000 a year at 19. And, if you just knew how to work, there was so much stuff going on that the economy was just on fire. And of course, it was all artificial. Like there's a bubble. And so I thought, I was going to start a business. I was working at this kayaking place, and I really thought I was going to buy the guy out. And, it was fun, and I felt like he was making a ton of money. And I was like, oh, I'm going to save up for a few years, and I'm going to buy this guy into retirement, and I'm not going to go to college. And then, first semester after I graduated high school, and everybody that I thought, like, oh, these people are so dumb, like, why are you going to college? You can make so much money on the outside. The economy just like tanked. And my boss was retired Air Force, and he told me, I said, like, what? Tell me about this Air Force thing. And he said, you can do it now, and you'll get out, and you'll be young. And if you want to come back to Wetumpka, Alabama, and have a business, like, that's fine, you'll still be young, but if you don't do this now, what if you're 25 and then you wish you would have? And so I said, like, okay, and I went down to the recruiter September of 2008, and I said, sign me up, I'm ready to go. Didn't really look into it. I just know that there was a guy that I respected that had chosen that career, and I said, like, and I grew up in Montgomery's an Air Force town. And everybody there, is middle class. It's like if you're in the Air Force, you're middle class, and if you're not, you're probably not lower middle class to your working class to like poor. And so it's like anybody that you knew that was in the Air Force was like they had the nicest house. They lived in the nice neighborhoods, and they drove a brand new F-150 as opposed to one that was 10 years old. And so it was really easy to like idolize that and say like, look at these guys, they're so successful, they get to do so much stuff. So went down and signed up. Of course, it was nice to be able to feel like you were proving something. Like, look, I'm going to do something that's tough and it's manly. But I don't think I was running away from anything. I was pretty comfortable where I grew up.
And so, being on your own, just in general, for anybody, it's a sort of freeing experience because it feels like all eyes are not on you anymore. So, especially for a gay person, when you're on your own, like when I went to college, that's when I said, I'm going to be out, I'm going to do all this stuff, I'm going to get to date, and I didn't come out for a long time, but I did get to date. And so when you were on your own, like when did you actually start, like when did it click in your head that, hey, I can actually, go out with a guy, or I can hook up with a guy, and like nobody's really going to be watching me?
So I was in Texas. I moved to Delaware. That was my first duty station. See the world. That's what they told me. I went to Delaware. And I was there for like a little over a year, and I was so busy. Like I worked all the time, and I was like going to school in the afternoons, and I was always tinkering with cars. I bought and sold cars all the time to make extra money, and didn't even like think about having a personal life. Like I'd always just like suppressed it. And so it wasn't until I moved to Germany when I was 20.
Okay.
And I kind of, with the Air Force, I got a new assignment, and I started over. I wasn't going to school because I said like, I'm not going to go to school. I'm going to like enjoy my time in Europe. And I was busy, but like I wasn't like super busy. I didn't have any friends there really to like hang out with. So there was this new thing, Grinder, going on. This is 2010. And it was the first time that I, thought like, okay, hooked up, and it was awkward. I hooked up with another guy, and we went out once. He asked me like, "Do you want to go get Thai food?" And this is how uncultured I was. I was like, "I've never had what's Thai food like," which sounds crazy now. If somebody asked me what Thai food was, I would be like, "Are you kidding?" But I was like 20 and never had Thai food, and I like look around. And I say like, oh my God, I'm like on a date with a guy. And it's not, and of course, there's nobody there to judge you. Everybody's German. Like there's so few, I mean, it's a military town, but there's so few Americans to, like nobody's going to overhear what you're talking about at dinner, which was great. So that was the first time where I realized like, oh my gosh, like I could actually do this, and this is fun. It's not something I'm terrified of. And like, this is a normal guy. Well, yes, or seemed normal, at the time. And, like I could, see myself dating a guy.
Yeah. So
that's 20 when I finally like admitted that to myself.
You mentioned the other day that he was also military, correct?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, and he was, what rank was he?
He was a lieutenant.
Okay, so there's there's that whole
which I wasn't enlisted.
There's that whole rule about, that's what I'm getting into. There's that whole rule about fraternizing with, between officers.
Well, there was a bigger rule in place, which was that you couldn't be gay. You've got enlisted guys like I was that you join when I joined when I was 18. Yeah. And you're pretty much if you think just regular soldier, carrying a gun. Not that was me, but just you're a grunt.
Yeah.
And then think of like a corporate manager. You think of the guys that they're also young, but you go to college and they put you in charge of a small little section, and so they tell you like this guy's corporate. You can't have a relationship with him, even if he's not has nothing to do with you at all. Not doesn't even work on your base, which I think is a pretty old school rule.
For the little 14-year-olds, do you want to explain what Don't Ask, Don't Tell was?
Yeah. So essentially, I think going back as far as anybody can remember, they said, "Oh, you can't be gay in the military." So Clinton has, said that he was going to let gays serve openly in the military, which was like wasn't going to fly in 92 or whenever he came into office. So he said, "Here's a compromise: don't ask, don't tell," which means we're not going to ask you, like the interview process. We're never going to say, "So, are you gay?"
Yeah.
That was the don't ask part. And then the don't tell part was you can't tell us. And that doesn't just mean like you can't put it as your Facebook status. It meant like if we find out, you're done. It seems pretty crazy.
Yeah.
That was a thing in when I joined in 2008. That was the policy.
That was the thing, and it was so recent. Like you
Yeah.
really, when you think about just the past recent years, how far we've come, just as in terms of rights, like gay marriage and all that. Like it's insane to think that wasn't like back in the 90s or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, we had iPhones. I had an iPhone 4, and there was don't ask, don't tell. It really kind of put a damper on your social life. And so every time, somebody would say like, "What'd you do last night?" You go, "I hung out with some friends," and they go, "Oh, like military?" And you'd be like, "Yeah." And they go, "What?" And you couldn't give them any details, and so you'd seem really weird.
When did you start YouTube, and why did you start YouTube? Why did you feel the need to do that?
I was deployed to Qatar in 2011, and I think that Obama had already made a rollback of the "Don't Ask, Don't Tell" policy, and he said, "Here's the deal: we're evaluating it, and we think we're gonna get rid of it, but not yet. We're gonna run all the, it's just like any other bureaucracy. Everything takes a year to do." And he said, "We're gonna implement this at some point, and but when everybody's ready, we're gonna ask all the generals, and we're gonna do all these crazy surveys, and then one day we're gonna try to get rid of this." And if you know anything about the internet, if you've ever put anything on the internet, it's there. Like it's hard. You can't. There's no taking it back.
That's true.
So I thought it was like the ultimate accountability. I said, it was two things. I said, if I put this on the internet, one, I'll never be able to take this back. In 10 years from now, I'm going to have to go to my parents, and tell them, or it's like, or when they're dead and gone, I'll finally have to tell my siblings or something, because this will be on the internet, and one day somebody's going to find out. So there needs to be some sort of urgency, which I was thinking would be like years long. And also, I kind of grew up in the YouTube age where, if you want to figure out how to take apart a clutch on a Toyota Tacoma, you go on YouTube and you type it in, and you watch 6 videos and you figure it out. And I never really contributed in any way. And I said, well, if I could make, if I could document this in any way and show my progress, if I can be an example to anybody, then great. But I was doing it for me. I wasn't doing it to help anybody out. I was doing it because I was saying, like, this is accountability.
So you didn't, that never crossed your mind that you were one of those few that, you may not have thought you were trailblazing, but you were one of the voices that were standing out, and especially because you were clearly in the military and you would cut your head off. I remember you crop your head off, and like that never crossed your mind once. Not that it was going to be a big deal, but that your voice was contributing to something.
I thought it was on my micro level. That one example, that was when when I was big. I don't even know if I haven't looked into him in years, but it was Davey Wavy. You know Davey Wavy, like, which is just like the very stereotypical, super good looking, super happy,
super sexual,
and always blah blah blah. Talks about sex all the time, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, these guys have something to relate to, but the niche that I have is going to be tiny, and it's not going to be super relatable, but you know, it's for me.
Yeah.
So,
And that's the irony of it, is that yours turned out to be more relatable, say, than Davey Wavy. Um, it did.
well,
It
it's
did.
a
It
heck
did.
of a lot less produced and
It was still a lot more relatable because there's more, average Joe guys out there than there are, super ripped bodybuilder,
Yeah.
guys running around with their shirts off. Don't Ask, Don't Tell gets repealed, and you decide to do a video where you call your dad, come out to him live. First, how nervous were you to do that? And second, why did you feel the need to do it live?
Well, Josh, it was 10 things coming together at once. I was in Qatar, and I had this channel where I just, talked about, what was going on in the military and how I felt about it. And I didn't reveal who I was.
Yeah.
And then I put up this video of this girl named Angie Johnson singing Rolling in the Deep, and it blew up. And, at the time, maybe I had, my biggest video had maybe, 1,500 views or something. I wake up and it's got that video of the girl singing had, 2 million views. And like Carson Daly who was like hosting The Voice, who, still is, was like, hey, we'd like you to be on The Voice, and had like messaged me on YouTube and had 3,000 emails. This is literally overnight. And so I said, a lot of people, everybody that I worked with, I was in Qatar at the time, found out about me, like instantly, like the next day. And everybody was cool with it. And this was like, 2 weeks before Don't Ask, Don't Tell even actually was fully repealed. They said, we're going to repeal it like on the 20th. And, which is weird, so but like up to that day, they were like still kicking people out of the military, so I was like, oh my gosh, everybody at work knows, it's only a time, it's only time until somebody from my hometown knows, or, a cousin finds out and it gets back. Yeah. So it really lit a fire under me that, the night that it came out, or that, going into the repeal, which I believe was on the 20th, it's been a while. I said, like, how do I want my family to find out? Do I want to call them, or, they're going to find out this week? Like, there's no way it's not going to get around to them. Yeah. So it was one of those nights where I can't sleep 3 a.m. I'm sitting at, my dorm room back in Germany, and I call my dad, and I feel like I'm about to throw up, and I just say, Dad, I'm gay. And he says, yeah, I don't think he was shocked. And I said, yeah, it's cool, I still love you. Which was, I feel like, something that resonated with a ton of people. But it was something that just, that whole accountability of I have to tell them before it gets to them as a rumor. Yeah. Was what lit a fire under me.
Okay. So, and you asked your mom as well, and I vaguely remember her reaction. She wasn't as receptive to your dad, but she still said she loved you and all that. Between that video and today, how have they been? Has it been a slow progression of accepting you? Have you been able to bring guys around, or just how's the relationship?
It's been cool. My dad, my stepmom's brother's gay, which I've never even met the guy, because my dad married her when, like, after I was out of the house and everything. So I think my dad had been around him enough to know, like, oh, it's completely fine. Yeah. He's my brother-in-law. So I think that softened the blow a little bit. My sister had my niece is biracial. My sister's married to a guy that's black. And if you're in California, like, that's not even a topic of conversation, but if you're in Alabama, that's a big deal. And there's a lot of people that aren't okay with it. And I think that my family, everybody had said, like, yeah, this is your blood. Like, you have to love them. And if anybody has a problem with it, it's their problem, not your problem. And, which probably wasn't the case when my sister started dating a black guy, but, they come around to that. So I think that had made them a little bit more open-minded into thinking like, yeah, don't sweat this.
Yeah, that's very good.
So, well, I mean, they could have still been very ignorant.
Yeah.
You know, like what does that entail? But I don't think that it was anything that they were willing to get upset about.
I think I remember when I came out to my mom. She was the first thing she said to me. She asked me like if I know about AIDS and all of that stuff. So I think she was very. I know a lot of parents are very. They just like when their child comes out to them, they're not sure what to think, and they're very like thinking of all the stuff that has been portrayed in the media in the past, and like most gay movies are all about the AIDS epidemic, and so I think that resonates a lot in people's minds. So you're out, you get to show your face on camera, you get to make all these videos. When did you stop doing YouTube, and why did you stop doing YouTube?
You know, I had the opportunity in 2012. Because of like the success of YouTube, I raised a ton of money for the AIDS Life Cycle, which is a 545-mile bike ride from San Francisco to LA.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that worked really hard, and stuff like that. And I didn't. I just said like, hey, you guys want to donate some money? And the guy bought me a bike, and I rode a bike down the coast. And I said I was gonna like vlog all that, and I couldn't. It was exhausting, and I went back to Germany, and the day I went back, I met a guy and who I ended up marrying, and it was I'd never met somebody where we just clicked right off the bat.
Yeah.
And suddenly I didn't feel like I had any obligations anymore. Like I'd said my piece. I was never big into like video production or tech or social media.
Yeah.
I didn't really have anything else to say. I didn't have any more points to make. And I kind of just let it go. And next, I remember logging on to YouTube one day, and it said like, oh, I went to look, and you'd see if your videos have any views or something, and it was like no content to be found. And I was like, what? And I'd been hacked, and somebody taken everything down. And I just said like, oh well, I guess it's gone. Like, I mean, there's copies of it out there, but I haven't been on here in a month. Yeah. Like, whatever. And that's been years ago, and I've never. I might send a tweet a year.
Yeah.
But it's like so many people worked really hard toward activism and things to say and social media and really hard before me, and never got the notoriety that I did. And I just came in because it was the perfect timing, and I had a cool story. The day that Don't Ask, Don't Tell got repealed, I didn't feel like I had any thing else to contribute. So I kind of stepped back and focused on everything else.
Your success on YouTube, did that, I think this was a question from one of our viewers, did that ever get overwhelming? Because I'm sure like you got email after email, message after message. Did it ever get overwhelming where you just had to take a step back?
Overwhelming from the start.
Yeah, okay.
You wake up and you've got thousands of emails in your inbox.
Yeah.
And thousands of comments on your videos, and everybody's asking questions, and they get mad because they don't get a reply, and you're not ready for this, and you're working full time. Yeah, thousands of Facebook friend requests, and you have to figure out how to block that, and then you can't even get on Facebook because it's not the Facebook that and then a lot of people don't understand that you don't have time to reply to them, and then they think it's odd when a year later you're going through your inbox and you reply to a question that they had. I think a lot of people have a much more gradual approach. They step into something and it slowly grows. Especially now that there's so much content that nobody's gonna just explode overnight.
Yeah, and you did.
And I did, and it's super overwhelming.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think you would ever come back to YouTube, or is that something you've left in the past for good?
I I don't know. There's times that I have things to say, but it's not anything that a lot of people put a lot of effort and energy into putting content online, and I don't.
Yeah.
I'm working well over full time, and I'm in a very serious relationship, and I've got a million things going on, and I'm not ever going to commit. The worst thing, I feel like this is how the last video on everybody's YouTube channel is before it just goes dead. Is they say like, oh, I'm going to work on putting out more content, and I'm going to start doing a video every week, and then you're looking at that, it says that video was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Because it's the pressure to perform that's intimidating, and I don't ever want to. I'm never going to pressure myself into that.
Yeah.
And so if I put some content out there, sure, but and I'm great off the cuff. I like talking to people, but sitting down and talking to a camera is pretty awkward if you've never done it.
It is.
The people that actually do it, it's hard, and to make it relatable, it's super hard, and that's not anything I'm going to have time in my life for a very long time. If you have 20,000 subscribers on YouTube overnight, you say like, well, I owe these guys something, which you don't at all, and I feel terrible for people who think that they do.
So I feel like you came out on YouTube during a time where the landscape was much, much different in terms of gay YouTubers, and voices like yours were needed. And now there's every gay Tom, Dick, and Harry has a YouTube channel, and they're all doing the same exact content. Everybody does the same videos, same hairstyle, same all of it. Do you feel like the importance of that voice has sort of been lost as the years have gone by, and how it is today?
I think that it's definitely saturated. And Gus Kenworthy had a really good quote, and somebody was interviewing him, and they said, "Don't you think this is a little overblown? You're getting all this attention just because you're gay." And he said, "Yeah, of course. Like, I want to be known for being a skier, but I was the first out, Olympian, or definitely the first out American Olympian, and he said it's a big deal right now, and it's probably not going to be it's not going to be a big deal forever, and I don't want to be a big deal forever, and I think we will have succeeded when this isn't shocking that, oh yeah, I got my medal and I kissed my boyfriend." Yeah. Like, that's not going to be news one day, but it's never happened before, so it is news, and until you see it enough, it's going to have some shock factor, and there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on it, and I think we're at that stage where the landscape is so much different than it was 5 years ago. There is so much gay out there in the media. So I think we're at that stage where so many people that are YouTubers saying, "I'm gay, check out, like, look, I'm gay, it's okay to be gay." Whereas opposed to in 20 years, in a generation from now, you're not going to be able to captivate an audience by just being gay. You're going to have to, or being gay and good looking, or being, you're going to have to have a little bit more out there. But now it's still fresh enough and still relatable enough that, people want to consume it. Yeah. And once there's a million videos out there, you're not going to be able to put a video out there and get 10 views on it because people have already said it. Yeah. But right now it's a big deal.
That's already starting to happen, I think. While all that's true, I do think it is a little bit oversaturated, and I think that you got a lot of people who are not going on and wanting to just say, "Hey, I'm gay." it's okay to be gay. It's a lot of people on there who are seeing, all the bigger ones who, get, I don't know, 100,000 views in like overnight, and they want that fame and they want to be social media stars, and
Sure.
so I think there's a fine line, and I think it's being crossed, and I think I don't know. I think we're on the way to there coming a point where like somebody's gonna post a really, I don't know, clickbait thumbnail that's like, I'm gay, here's how this person reacted, and like nobody's gonna care. Like you said, it's not gonna get 10 views. So we're definitely on the way to that. All right. So you quit YouTube. You said you got married. Do you ever feel like you rushed into any relationships you might have had simply because a lot of gay people, when they're growing up and in high school, like they're not able to date, they're not able to experience a first love, and so on and so on. And so a lot of them, like large percentage of gay guys who jump into relationships are with the guy for 3 months, they're moved in. Next 3 months they're already engaged. And, do you ever feel like you rushed any relationships at all?
Well, yeah. I mean, this might be news, but I'm divorced. And we were together for 4.5 years.
That's a good chunk of time.
Which, when you meet when you're 21, that's it's all of your adult life, especially when you come out when you're 21.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to say. I think if you grow up now and you go to prom with a guy, it's a lot easier to take it really slow.
Yeah.
And you can kind of date around and figure out what you like. But I found a guy that, that was smart and good looking and had a good family, and he was ambitious, and he had really cared about lots of he had a really caring heart.
Yeah.
And he didn't know it was on YouTube, which was crazy
really
because
not?
for a minute there, like everybody knew. And so, I fell head over heels for him.
Yeah.
And the next thing I knew, we had a dog, and we were on the same car insurance and phone plan. And then we moved to the United States together. We both got out of the military on the same day. We fixed it to be that way. And then you think like, well, the next logical step was marriage.
Yeah.
And we did. And
do you think that was too soon, or do you think it happened at the appropriate time?
It's hard to say. I don't know. Like I mean, it didn't work out, and I learned so much from it about myself, and I wasn't happy like in life at the time. I was having like very serious like career problems, and so was he, and we were moving across the country, and we met when we were super young, and the difference that you are from 21 to 25, and people who think that like they think I'm 21, I'm so mature. I was super mature, Yeah. I never been late on a bill. Like, I grew tomatoes. Like, I filed other people's taxes, and I've never gotten an argument with anybody. I said, yeah, I'm super mature and I'm never going to change. Well, I'm about to be 28. I'm a different person. I'm a different person than I was when I was 26, and I've grown so much. I'm not nearly as serious about anything. And I think growing up while being in a relationship is super hard. Yeah. And you can easily grow apart in a few years. And I think, when old people say, like, don't get married young, they know what they're talking about, because it's stressful. And so, I think part of that was just having maybe societal pressure to conform and not not sleep around, and you wanted, especially if you're like an icon in any way, you want to be, or if you have any eyeballs on you, you want everybody to admire your moral standards. And so at work, they're like, "You're the gay guy that in the squadron," and you go like, "Yeah, yeah," and they think like, you know, crazy circuit party, and you're like, "No, no, I'm married.
Yeah.
We have a dog." And
So you definitely did feel that pressure because you did have eyeballs on you as the
sure,
gay soldier, huh?
yep.
Very interesting. So when you guys got out of the military, where'd you go first? Was it straight to California, or did you stop off?
We bought a camper.
From a camper to a boat?
We bought a camper in Wisconsin and traveled around.
Okay.
And because we said like, we don't know where we're going to move to in the United States. And we took a few months, traveled around the country, and came to San Diego. And he had a friend here, and she's like, "You should just move to San Diego." And so we did. It was nice, and we never really spent any time in Southern California, and it's beautiful, and fell in love, and I've been here ever since.
All right. And now, at this point, do you want to say a little bit about what you do, what kind of business you run? What is your business?
Gosh, I floundered a little bit when I got out of the military. I thought like, oh, I'm gonna, I've got some money saved up. I'm gonna start a business and be successful and never work for myself. And I didn't. I started a scooter rental business, and I hated it. But I wanted to work for myself, and I lost a ton of money, and I was broke. And I was like volunteering on a sailboat, and I really fell in love. And I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I went and bought a boat. I went to Florida, and I bought a boat and brought it back here. But I have a small little boat, and I take out 6 people at a time, and we go around, and I show them San Diego Bay, and we talk about everything. It's really relaxed. It's not like anybody else. Most people do like loud music and tons of people, and I don't. I take a few people out at a time, and I get really close, and I show everybody everything in San Diego, and it's just me. I don't farm it out to anybody. There's somebody that works for me, and I do everything myself, and that's what I'm doing now. And we'll see, fingers crossed. Last year was my first summer. It was, a little bit of a struggle. Everybody said, it's going to take 2 years to break even. And I said, there's no way. But it does. It's really expensive out here. It's really, really hard to make a reputation for yourself and really figure out exactly what you want to do. And so now I finally figured out what it's going to be, and I'm getting ready for summer of 2018, where hopefully I'm going to be really busy, and I'm super excited.
Awesome. So was your ex-husband on board for this whole business venture? Did he sort of caution you, or I don't know, how'd that work?
Our relationship was kind of falling apart then. I saved up a ton of money when I was in the military, and he didn't. I was in a little bit longer than he was too, and we were going to use that probably as like a down payment on a house.
Yeah.
And I spent it all trying to start a business, and it was super depressing. And when he's got a college degree and I don't. When he was in Germany, he was going to college full time, and I wasn't. I was like tinkering with cars and selling them and making money because I said like I'm going to start a business. And so when you have a ton of money, you have a good bit of money saved up, you can say like I'm going to start a business, and so I could you can have faith. But then when you have a business and it fails, and then you don't have any money, and you don't have any real skill, and you don't have a college degree, and you've just blown money for the last year and a half, it's really easy for your husband to say like, I'm not so sure that you're serious about this whole business thing, and maybe you just want to hang out on the beach every day, and it's a huge strain on your relationship. So I said like, hey, I had to go into debt to do this. I had to borrow a ton of money to go buy a boat, and he was supportive enough. He wasn't like, don't do it, but he wasn't as supportive as he was the first go, and he was having his own career struggles because he was couldn't find a job out here that suited him, that used all of his skills. So yeah, it was a strain. And I said, like, I'm gonna have a business where I'm happy, and I don't know if the money's gonna pan out. My first business, I really crunched the numbers and said, this is gonna work, but it doesn't work if you can't do it, because if you hate it. So this job, I said, well, hey, if I'm 28 and I'm bankrupt, I'm completely okay with that. And that's where I'm at now. So either at the end of the year, my business will be successful and, on track to have a good 2019, or I'll be bankrupt and I'll have to go work at Home Depot, and I'm okay either way.
Either way, I mean, you gotta.
I'll be happy knowing I tried to do something that I
have to go for
and
it.
I really tried. Like I've really put myself out there. I haven't like kind of thought about it. Like I'm completely on board. I borrowed a ton of money. I've done everything I need to do. RandyPhillipsTours is a grade A, serious venture, and it's the nicest thing in San Diego.
And so that's what I'm about to ask is what makes you you're fresh on the boat, so to speak. Okay, what makes you qualified to be doing this and call this a grade A business when there's so many other people out there doing the same thing who have been doing it a lot longer?
I like you putting me on the spot, but
yeah. I'm not trying to sound rude. I just really liked the other day when you talked about everything you did. I think that was the better part of the interview.
I appreciate the pressure and like it's an interview. That's what you do. You push people.
I'm just trying to make you cry. That's all I'm trying to do.
Good.
What have you done to make it a grade A business?
I take my time and I do everything myself, and I've done a ton of research, and I know what's going on, and I stay in tune with what's going on, and I don't fluff. If somebody asks me, what is that building right there, and I don't know, I say, I don't know, but give me a month, and I'm going to go down there to that building, and I'm going to ask the owners of it what it is and how long it's been here and what they do, and then I'll email you and I'll tell you. I don't BS anybody, and I don't upsell, which is what everybody does. Somebody goes out and they say like, oh, look at this really affordable price, and then you go out there and they want to sell you $8 beers and they charge you a surcharge for everything, and I say no. Everybody here is VIP. If you come on a trip with me, everything's included. If I take pictures of you, I'm not going to ask you $5 for a printout. It'll cost me nothing to print them out. Like, here's some pictures. If you want some mimosas, like, of course, I'm buying by the bulk. Like, I'm not going to pretend like it cost me $20 for a beer. I get really close. I've got this tiny boat. Well, it's not tiny, but compared to a lot of the tour boats, I get really close. If somebody wants to get, right up close enough where they can touch, the USS Midway, I do it. If somebody wants to see sea lions up close and personal, if there's dolphins in the bay, I stop and we check it out. The big boats don't do that. They just circle on by and keep reading their script and try to sell $8 beers, and which is fine for most people. You're out of town. It's like going to Walmart. Like, oh, you need everything, go to Walmart. Like, oh, if you want really nice steak, go to the local butcher. And I'm kind of like that. Like, I don't have a ton of stuff. I'm hard to get a hold of. But you get me.
Yeah. So do you value the
that's up for everybody else to call me grade A.
Yeah. Do you value?
I think a lot of people call me grade A.
Do you value the reputation that you're trying to build for yourself?
For my company?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is something that I want to do for a while, and I'm going to do more things in this. This isn't going to be the only thing I ever do, and I'm not going to work it in 2 years. I'm not going to work it every single day. I want this to be kind of like a band, like I do it because I love doing it,
Yeah.
and it's really fun, and I do love doing it. And people always come up to me with ideas like, "Oh, you should really do this marketing and do this, do these special things." And I say, "No, no, no, no. It's like if you're a band and you play in the local, you play in the local area, but you have a full-time job. You play because you like doing it. And when somebody wants you to bend over backwards, you just say like, no, no, no. I only like doing it. It's fun. Like, yeah, it pays the bills, but I do it because it's fun. And when it's not fun, people realize that. I don't ever want anybody to think I'm faking it. And so far, I've never faked it.
Yeah, no, I think that's the best approach to a business. Is just be straightforward. When they know what they're getting, they're gonna come back. So another tougher one. It's not as tough, I guess. So when you got divorced, you mentioned you're in a relationship now.
Oh yeah.
Did you take a lot more caution with this new relationship, or have you found yourself repeating any of the same mistakes, or do you think you're just going into it as something new and something you've learned from your past relationship?
When I met the guy that I'm with, I was not looking for a boyfriend. I hadn't been long separated,
Cool.
and I'd had Grinder on my phone for like my second time ever, and there's this super hot guy on there, and I thought it was fake. I was like, this isn't even real.
I don't know, man. You're in San Diego.
And so I tried. Yeah, I'd given myself like permission.
Okay.
I'd said like, you know what, Randy, like, you're young and you're in shape. I was really in shape at the time, not so much anymore. I've really like let myself go, which feels great. I feel way better. Like I eat whatever I want now. And I said like, oh, enjoy your youth, and before it gets away from you, and go out there and have fun.
Yeah. And
I meet this guy on Grinder, and I like try to like hook up with him, and he's like, I'm not looking, and I'm like, what were you doing on Grinder then? Come on. So like 10 days goes by, and I like reach out to him again, and I was like, look, I haven't had any carbs, and look, I look better than I did a week ago. And he's like, yeah, come on over. And I come over, and he takes his clothes off, and I'm like, oh my god, I've never seen a guy this good looking on the internet, much less in front of my eyes that invited me over here. And so I was so nervous, and I hooked up with so few guys, and I said, can we talk? He probably thought I was so awkward. I said, we can hook up, and it's going to be awesome, for me, and you're going to never talk to me again because I'm going to be so terrible at this. I was like, but, maybe we can talk, and I can, like, calm down a little bit, and then maybe we can do this more than once. And he said, yeah, sure. I hook up all the time. Nobody ever wants to talk. And I said, where are you from? Thinking he would say, like, Phoenix or something, because he speaks perfect English. Yeah. He said, I'm from Panama.
Oh, wow.
And I said, really? They just expanded the Panama Canal there. And he said, how did you know? I said, yeah, they probably opened it up like this month. And and he's like, yeah, they just opened it up. My dad works at the canal. And I said, what's he do? Drive one of the locomotives? Because there's like trains that like pull you through the canal because it's so narrow. And he said, yeah, he does. He was shocked that I knew anything about the Panama Canal. And I said, yeah, I've always been fascinated with it. And which was probably kudos to me. He thought I was just super smart, but I just knew a lot about the Panama Canal. And we talked for 3 hours. We talked about everything. We talked about his mom having cancer. We talked about him going to Ohio State and how he came out here, and you know, a week goes by and we're having sushi, and he is supposed to be leaving. He's supposed to be leaving the country because his visa expired. He graduated and he got a 3-year like work visa, and then they were like, all right, that's all you get. And he thought he was going to have to move to Cambridge, so it was hard to date somebody that was like, oh my gosh, here's a guy that I'm like falling for big time. He's in every way. I mean, I've never just like clicked with somebody like this in my life, and I could never imagine doing it with anybody else. But you have to distance yourself, because you say like, well, you're going to go to, I just started a company. I can't leave here for a couple years. You have to go to England, and we're not going to date across the country, or across the world. And for somebody who I've known for 2 months, and then he gets picked up to go, he gets at the lottery, he gets to stay for, he gets a green card, wins a green card lottery. He had a 20% chance of doing it. Got to stay. And we're in love. We are in love. I just went to his sister's wedding, and like, we're both pretty busy. I mean, he's has a really serious, like, great, he's a biomedical engineer, and I'm a boat captain. Like, I feel like it's not even close. We moved in together. After a year of dating, and which I wanted to, as soon as I found out he was staying. But I've had my like 2 feet on the brakes, thinking like, take it easy, Randy, take it easy, take it easy. You have your whole life ahead of you. But I didn't even know love existed like this. If you look at the books, every part of my life is more chaotic than it's ever been. Yeah. I'm poorer now than I've ever been. I'm poorer today than I was yesterday, because I go in the hole every day. I'm probably more out of shape than I was yesterday, because, I grill hamburgers every day. It's like my favorite thing. And like, I'm getting older, and lots of these things make people stress out about things. But I haven't had road rage. I haven't gotten upset. I haven't like raised my voice. I haven't worried about the first thing. I've been completely okay to focus on my career, knowing like I'm in love, and this guy loves me back, and he respects me. And if this fails, like, it's not the end of the world.
So do you kind of touched on this a little bit just a second ago, but do you feel like you are a person who is planning 5 years, 10 years down the line, or are you taking it year by year, step by step? Are you a planner or a doer?
I think that every year I realize that I know a heck of a lot less than I thought I knew. God, when I was 18, I was like, I'm gonna join the military and then stay for 20 years. And then after I got in, I was like, I'm gonna become an officer and stay and get out, and have like great retirement and do something. And I was in for a little bit longer, and I was like, I want to get out and like do my own, and like just have my own business, and be a like activist, and maybe do like media stuff, and then now, and then I moved to California, and I was like, this is the best place ever. I'm never going anywhere. I'm going to be mayor of this town in 20 years. And I just got back from Panama, which you think of like, that's a third world country. I went to Panama, and I said, like, well, I could definitely see myself living in Panama.
Really?
Like, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've got to learn Spanish because they don't speak English. The things that I thought would make me happy aren't the things that make me happy. And I'm in loved, and I am loved, and I am having fun doing what I'm doing. You know, I feel great.
What is the biggest thing that you've learned from that 21-year-old guy? Since biggest thing you've learned?
Um, oof, oof. God, I've learned so much. I've I've learned to relax with everything. Uh, I don't get upset about. I'm not nervous about anything anymore. Like if somebody, yeah, I never go. I mean, I rarely go out to the bars or anything. But if somebody's like, "Hey, do you want to go to Flicks?" It's like our local gay bar in San Diego. I'm like, oh, okay. And I go and I just get off work and I look like crap. I'm like, who cares?
Yeah.
Like, I used to be like so worried I would suck in all the time. You know, I never do that anymore. I'm like, God, like, uh, I don't. I'm not scared about like what I'm gonna say to people. I would only talk about like a narrow spectrum of things. You know, like oh, your career, what's going on in the news, and it's like now I never talk about that. I always just say like, so how are you doing?
Yeah.
You know, because I want to know. Like I'm not scared of telling people my insecurities. I'm not scared of showing that my life is imperfect. When I was younger, like I would never say like I'm insecure about money, or I don't, I'm worried about. So yeah, oh, you always put on a front because you're scared of what people are going to think. But then you realize, you get older and you realize, yeah, everybody has issues. Somebody thinks you're an idiot, like,
Yeah.
or somebody thinks you look fat, or like, I don't worry about anything.
It's perfect. I like that a lot. I like the relax part. All right, I think we're gonna wrap up there. This is a lot longer than the first one was too. Is there anything that you really want to say? Anything that you want me to include in the description bar or your links or anything like that?
Like Iceman has an Instagram for us, but I'm not on it. But it's our like we share on Instagram.
Okay.
But you could plug. I mean, you could.
Yeah.
But I want to like give the. What about Snapchat? Are you on Snapchat or no?
I am not on Snapchat, no. Just
Okay.
Instagram and Twitter.
Like you're not personally on Snapchat, or like
I'm personally on Snapchat, but people get crazy, dude. I gotta keep some stuff private.
Yeah.
That's why my name's so crazy on like Facebook. It's all misspelled.
Yeah.
My family thinks I'm an
God,
idiot.
I know I had to do it. It's like you have to fucking block it. So
Well,
what's your story? I want to interview you.
Oh goodness.